Hi, welcome to the unfiltered feed. Here is another mini for you, and I'm going to talk about two very important updates from the upcoming IPL season. As we all know, the auction is not very far away now. It's on the 16th of December, so just over 2 weeks left. And over the next few days, we'll hopefully get a list from the BCCI about all the players that have registered for the auction. And this is when you also get to know about a few players who are not going to be part of the auction or some surprising ones who are going to be part. So we have two major updates coming from Faf du Plessis and Andre Russell. Obviously, both these players have been all-time IPL greats because they have first of all played the IPL for several years now. Faf has been playing since 2010, and Russell as well has been playing since the same the same era basically. He's been a legend for KKR, and before that he played for Delhi as well. But the important update is that both these players will not be taking part in the IPL from next year onwards. Faf du Plessis just announced on Twitter that he won't be registering for the IPL auction. Instead, he will be participating in the PSL this year. And Andre Russell just announced an hour back that he is going to retire from the IPL. Um, so this is not a complete T20 retirement for Russell at least, because he did mention in his announcement that he will be playing all the other leagues around the world, but he won't be playing the IPL from next season onwards. And for Faf as well, he hasn't mentioned about retiring, but he won't be participating in the IPL. And these are really important updates because in our podcast, after the retentions were announced, we did mention that both these players will be quite crucial when it comes to the auctions because they bring really unique set of skills. Faf du Plessis is obviously a gun opener. At his age, is still very fit. He's a really good fielder, and more importantly, he's got a lot of captaincy experience in the IPL because he led RCB for 3 or 4 seasons. And even last year at Delhi, we saw when their captain Akshar Patel was injured, Faf du Plessis took the helm and he was leading the side in the last few games. So those are some very important skills that he brings. And Andre Russell, there's no need to tell anybody how great Andre Russell is. The last few seasons have been a bit silent from him, but you always know the potential that Russell has, and he can completely turn a game around within a few overs. If he's in and both with the bat or the ball, he's a gun all rounder. So both these players not taking part, I'm sure, is going to upset a lot of other teams who are maybe eyeing for them. But let's quickly analyze these decisions and what the logic behind these decisions could be. So let's start with Faf. In his announcement, he did mention that he did play the IPL for 14 years, and he feels that it's time to move on and to take take up new projects. Let me quickly open up his announcement because it was quite a long one. So I don't really want to communicate something that's not what he said, but he basically said that the level of this game is going high every year, and um, although he didn't mention this in his post, but I'm quite sure he must be afraid of going unsold, because that's obviously not a good show for any player. You always want to be the player in demand and play for top teams and play every single match. You also don't want to be on the bench. Last year there was signs because he was picked by Delhi Capitals only for his base price, which was about 2 crores. At least he got to play a lot of games, and as I mentioned, he also got to lead the side. So it was not a disappointing season, but I'm sure he could see that the demand for him was going down with every year because of his age and also the fact that he doesn't play international cricket. So you have to basically just rely on him maintaining his form by playing T20 leagues across the world, which is not always the best scenario. So even if he was picked, he would again probably be picked at base price and most likely be a backup opening option. and not a frontline player who would have played every single match. So I think he saw it coming and he decided to call it a day. And it's always better to go out yourself without having actually get kicked out by the tournament. This is something that happened with David Warner, which was quite unfortunate to see because he's as well an IPL legend. He's won a lot of orange caps, I think three. And I think he registered in the last auction, which was a mega auction. So he was at Delhi for the previous cycle, after which he got released. And in the last auction, he went unsold. And that kind of disappoints the player and also the fans because you know how valuable David Warner has been for the IPL, and seeing him go unsold, it didn't feel right. Similarly with Steve Smith in the previous cycle, and even in the past, you've seen players like Malinga go unsold, and it just doesn't feel right. So it's, in one way, it's good that Faf has taken this call. I don't think he's struggling. He still he was still in form last season. He played a few crucial innings for Delhi Capitals, so it's not like he was completely, clueless, and that's why he decided to quit. He's still playing at a decent level, so it's nice that he's going out in style. Um, let's quickly look at his announcement about the PSL. He mentioned that it's an exciting new step for him because it's something new, and it will help him grow as a player. And I'm sure he'll be in demand at the PSL because Faf du Plessis, as I said, he's still one of the more experienced and senior openers uh, who's actually batting well. So I think he'll be a very valuable asset to the PSL. So I hope he goes for some big money and he plays a few important innings and hopefully contributes a lot. But yeah, this is the first big announcement. Now let's look at the second one, which, to be honest, I didn't see coming because after the retentions, when KKR announced that they were releasing Russell, there were a lot of speculations that Russell wanted to leave KKR. That's what I heard with from ESPN Cricinfo. A couple of journalists from ESPN Cricinfo said this, and then there were a lot of speculations that CSK were interested in getting Andre Russell, and it did make sense because since they had traded Sam Curran and Ravindra Jadeja, they definitely need a middle order, hard hitting all rounder who can come in and hit those big sixes and basically strengthen that middle order because they lack a bit of power over there with MS Dhoni. Shivam Dube will probably come a bit up at number 5. So you need someone at number 6 and number 7 to support MS Dhoni, who usually comes at number 8. So Russell was, I was convinced that Chennai would go for Russell. But at the same time, if you remember, we mentioned this in our podcasts about a tweet by Venki Mysore, which he did in 2020, in which he said that Andy Russell will hopefully remain a knight for the entirety of his cricketing career. So it felt quite, double-sided because on one side he mentioned that, Russell should have been a knight or a Knight Riders player for his entire career, but then you end up releasing him. But now it makes sense. I think Russell did ask them to release him because he didn't want to play the IPL anymore. And he's also put out quite a long message. He's recorded a 3-minute long video, which the link to which I'll share in the description, so you guys can take a look. But what he's basically mentioned is that again he's going to continue playing all the T20 leagues around the world, but I think he just feels that based on his past performance, it's the right time to step down. And he also mentioned that this feels the right time because he's still playing well and he's still contributing to all the teams across the world wherever he plays. So he wants to leave the sport when he's still doing well, and if the fans are questioning him about quitting the sport so early, he thinks that it's the right time. And he's also mentioned that he's not going away from KKR because he's joined the support staff. He'll be the power coach. That's something new that I've heard. So I think he'll basically just be there to motivate the players. Maybe help with power hitting, hitting those sixes in the death. So I guess he'll work with Ramandeep Singh or other players who are batting lower down the order. So yeah, again, now I do understand, why Russell asked himself to be released, and I also would like to apologize to all KKR fans because during the podcast I was honestly a bit irritated because they had already released a lot of players going into this auction. They already have the largest purse. Even if they had retained Russell, they still would have had the largest purse. So I thought that they should have given him one more chance because I think last season was the only bad season that he had. This is somewhat similar to Karen Pollard, if you remember, in 2022. They had retained him in the mega auction. He was their overseas retention, but he didn't have the best season. I mean, he obviously had a few good games, but he didn't look like the same Pollard, especially against spin. He was struggling massively. The moment spinners came on, he was looking clueless and he couldn't even connect the ball properly. And then after the season, MI decided to drop him because didn't really they didn't have an option. There was no way that he could play, especially because they had a replacement in Tim David. So Pollard was asked if he wanted to be released and go back to the auction, but that's when he said that he couldn't imagine playing for any other team except Mumbai Indians. And so he retired from the IPL and joined the support staff. And he still continues playing for other leagues around the world. And that's something similar to what Russell will be doing. He also mentioned that he can't see himself playing for any other side, which is actually quite nice. That shows that support staff has been doing a great job and they've built a nice connection with Russell. But yeah, he'll also be playing other leagues around the world. So you'll still see a lot of Andre Russell over the year. But in the IPL, he'll be a power coach with KKR. But just like Karen Pollard did, Russell as well has shown loyalty towards the franchise that has supported him for so many years. I think he's won 2 titles with them. He's one of their all-time legends. For several years, they have depended on Sunil Narine and Andre Russell. So he's one of their core Hall of Fame players, you can call it that way. So it's nice to see some loyalty from him. But yeah, these are the two main updates. I hope I hope you guys will also share your opinions in the comments. What do you think? Uh, was Russell right in first of all asking to be released, and is he right to retire, or do you think he could have contributed more to KKR or any other team in the upcoming season? And what do you think about Faf as well? Him joining PSL. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think he should have registered for the auction as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later. Till then, bye bye, good night, and stay safe.